Your body is mostly fluid. It's mostly water, like a lot. Not to mention that dehydration is one of the biggest things that are going to crush your lymphatic system, and most people are dehydrated. The lymphatic system is 90% water. Wrap your brain around that one. So if you're dehydrated, it already dried up your stream. Now, your cells live in a fluid environment. It's called interstitial fluid. That just means fluid between the cells. And it's like a fish living in a fish tank. And the fish would be your cells, but you got a couple of trillion in your fish inside your body, right? Now, if you look inside of a fish tank, usually you'll see a little filter up in the corner with bubbles coming out of it. And then underneath the fish tank that you can't see, you've got all these little pipes and filters and stuff like that. Those are the things that keep the water circulating. And it takes out all the fish poop, because the fish poop all day long, just like your cells do. And then you put food inside the tank to feed the fish, right? So you've got the food contents in there and then the waste from that. And then the filter gives that stuff out. And the one in the corner gives you oxygen, right? Now, if your filter system works great, the water looks crystal clear and the fish are thriving and they look great. They're having an awesome time. Now, what happens if that filter system, something goes wrong with it? You don't notice it right away, right? Usually it takes you a couple of days or a couple of weeks. Then all of a sudden, what does the water start to look like? It's very murky. It actually starts to turn green, and you see funky things growing on the glass. That's bacteria, viruses, toxins, like biofilm, they call that. And then humans have biofilm inside of them. It can make you really sick. And then all of a sudden, you soon see stuff grow on the fish, like scales, like dis-ease. But if you've ever looked closely into the tank, have you ever seen a fish struggling to breathe in water that doesn't have a lot of oxygen in it, right? It's like this. It's doing the best it can with what it's got, but it's slowly dying. Well, that's the same thing that happens to your cells, man, because if cells don't get oxygen, you're not living long. And when you don't get oxygen, something somewhere is going to hurt. You will have pain somewhere. So this is where I ask people, how would you go about fixing that tank? Would you just take out the water, take out the fish, clean the tank, put new water in there, and then everything's great? No, you wouldn't do that, because what's going to come back? The same thing, right? But that's what we do in healthcare and in medicine. We clean the tank and we blame the fish. And I'm like, why don't you just look at the filter system? So that if you go in there and then you clean the filters, unclog the filters, make sure they function well, then you put the stuff back in there. So what's the moral of this story? It's this. In my world, lymphatic work always comes first, because they got to make sure your tank works. Because here's also the dirty little secret. Everything that you're chasing to try to get better in your body lives in the tank. So the filter system is the one that determines whether all the other stuff you're trying to do actually works.
Thanks for watching. If you like what you just saw, why not subscribe? Here's a link to do that. And if you'd like to watch the full interview, you can find it at chrisbeatcancer.com. There's a link to it in the description right below this video.